Chapter 150, Parting. Daoyi, Wuxia, and Easy. Kang Chon's eyes were heavy as he made a dead note of these three names in his heart, knowing that these would be his strongest opponents in the future, opponents even more powerful than Zhao Wuji. Other than the three of them, Kang Chon also wrote down the rest of the potential dragon ranking powerhouses. Huyu, there really is a mountain beyond the mountain and a sky beyond the sky. With my current strength, I should be able to rank in the top 20, and if my cultivation can keep up, these top 3 could be a battle. Kang Chon took a deep breath, an inexplicable look flickering in his eyes. His talent was no worse than anyone on this subterranean dragon ranking, but his cultivation was much worse. He only had a cultivation of the 5th level of the Jiden stage right now, while the lowest cultivation of the geniuses on this submerged dragon list was at the 7th level of the Jiden stage, and a large portion of them had already reached the 9th level of the Jiden stage realm. With a cultivation difference of several realms, the strength was naturally much worse. But even so, Kang Chon was able to be ranked in the top 20, and from this, it was clear that Kang Chon's talent was powerful. As long as he was at the same level, Kang Chon was not afraid of any genius. "How's it going? Is there pressure?" Emperor Dan's voice came from the heaven-reversing cauldron. "Of course there is. My cultivation level is too far behind them. If I can step into the 7th layer of the Jiden stage, there will be a place for me in the top 10 of this subterranean dragon ranking," Kang Chon said confidently. "Well, indeed, most of the geniuses up here are in their 30s and 40s, while you are only in your 20s. You have cultivated for more than a decade less than them. So it's not surprising that your cultivation is not as good as theirs." Emperor Dan nodded at his words. Kang Chon was at a disadvantage in terms of age. He had cultivated for too short a period of time after all. If he had 10 more years, Kang Chon's cultivation would not say he had reached the 9th level of the Jiden stage. At the very least, he would be at the 7th level of the Jiden stage. "Elder Dan, you are an alchemy master. Can't you refine some superb pills comparable to the 3rd transformation golden pill?" Kang Chon asked with a face full of anticipation. "Yes, of course there are. And there are many more," Emperor Dan said with a smile, and Kang Chon's eyes instantly lit up. But he was immediately struck by Emperor Dan's following words. "There are, but the materials needed to refine these extremely high-grade pills are too precious. You kid can't get them at all. So even though I'm an alchemy master, I can't cook without rice." Emperor Dan shook his head. "Alas, it seems that we still have to rely on ourselves to cultivate hard." Kang Chon couldn't help but sigh. It seems like trying to take shortcuts still won't work. It's a pity that that country lord is so petty. He doesn't know to give a few more 3-turn golden Dan. If the country lord knew that Kang Chon thought so in his heart, I'm afraid that he would be so angry that he would spit out blood. Those triple transformation golden pills had consumed most of his collection and cost him a large sum of spirit stones to purchase. Normally he wouldn't even give it to his own royal children and grandchildren. This time, it was entirely because of the powerful talent of Kang Chon and the others, hoping to sell a friendship before Kang Chon and the others grew up, so that once he waited until Kang Chon and the others grew up, there would be a lot of benefits for him as well. Rumble. Right at this moment, Kang Chon abruptly felt the earth tremble, and there was even a huge sound of thunder coming from above the sky, as an unrivaled and terrifying pressure descended down, almost crushing him to the ground. "What's going on?" Kang Chon was startled, and his entire body resisted this powerful pressure before he quickly rushed out of the house and looked up into the sky. At this time, Wang Tixong, Jin Sanchao and the others also awoke from their seclusion and likewise came out of the house, coincidentally looking towards the sky. Rumble. Above the endless miles of sky, a huge black shadow suddenly appeared, obscuring the sun in the sky, causing the entire imperial capital to fall into gloom all of a sudden. Everyone in the imperial capital was instantly plunged into raucous shock. Soon, The crowd saw a huge immortal boat rushing out from amongst the clouds, appearing 100 meters above in the sky, emitting a majestic aura of pressure. Heavens! This is even more gigantic than the immortal boat that Wuxia, the true disciple of the Heavenly Tao sect, was traveling in. Could it be that some big shot from the Heavenly Tao sect has come? Wuxia was shocked in his heart. This immortal boat above his head was just a huge, completely blocking out all the sunlight, causing the entire imperial capital to instantly fall into darkness. This is an extreme treasure artifact level immortal boat. Just a frontal impact would be able to crash a strong out-breathing stage person to death. A surprised voice came from Emperor Dan in his mind. Wuxia was shocked to hear this. An extreme grade treasure weapon. He had never even seen one before. Just a lower grade treasure weapon possessed a very strong power, let alone an extreme grade treasure weapon. At this time, the huge immortal boat had completely appeared in front of everyone, revealing the true face of the immortal boat. Everyone instantly realized that there was a magnificent figure standing on top of the immortal boat. That figure coldly looked down at the imperial capital below, and a loud voice immediately resounded throughout the space. I, Heavenly Tao Sect Sun Lei Bushan, by order of the Patriarch, have come to announce the official opening of the holy ceremony. But any Jidan stage cultivator under the age of 50 from the Great Tang country must board the immortal boat within 3 days, and will not wait until the expiry of the deadline. Boom! The loud voice carried incomparably thick fluctuations of true essence, instantly spreading throughout the entire imperial capital, blowing everyone's ears numb and the entire sky roaring. In the next moment, the entire imperial capital completely boiled. The Heavenly Tao Sect's disciple acceptance ceremony had finally opened. Everyone cheered. Some of the young jungles who would be attending were even filled with excitement and thrill. It is Wuxia who is also clenching his fists, his eyes blazing, and his entire body is trembling. 3 years of waiting finally came. High above the sky, the huge immortal boat covered the sky, emitting a majestic and incomparable pressure. The immortal might was vast, shaking the heavens and shaking the earth. After Sun Lei Broken Sky's proclamation that the Heavenly Tao Sect's disciple acceptance ceremony had officially begun, he was personally invited by the Great Tang country's lord to approach the imperial palace. Apparently his identity was so powerful that even the Great Tang country's lord had to personally welcome him. After Sun Lei Broken left from the immortal boat, hundreds of figures impacted in the imperial capital, rushing towards the top of the immortal boat. However, the huge immortal boat exuded an unrivaled pressure, and one had to be powerful in order to approach it. In the end, only a few dozen of these hundreds of figures managed to board the immortal boat, while the rest couldn't resist the pressure and fell down. Everyone was immediately shocked. This is bound to be the first test of the Heavenly Tao Sect. Even the immortal boat are not on board, but also talk about how to worship the Heavenly Tao Sect. All of a sudden, many young jungles were silent. However, there were more young jungles who continued to work hard, rushing towards the top of the immortal boat. For a time, immortal swords broke through the air and light flashed in the sky above the entire imperial capital, and everywhere was filled with young junglers who wanted to rush up to the immortal boat. Of course, some young geniuses with great strength did not rush to the immortal boat anyway. There was still 3 days left, and they wanted to say goodbye to their families during these 3 days. After all, they didn't know when they would be able to come back after this trip. Wuxia was one of them. At the moment, he was looking at his grandfather with reluctance. Once one worships the Heavenly Tao Sect, without reaching the Yuanying stage, one cannot come back. This is the rule of the Heavenly Tao Sect. And to reach the Heavenly Tao Sect, even with Wuxia's talents, I'm afraid it would take more than 100 years. 100 years. Wuxia had only lived until now, and was only in his 20s. This all of a sudden being separated from his grandfather for over 100 years. How could he part with it? Wang Tixiong looked kindly at his grandson in front of him. Although his heart was very reluctant to part with him, he still said seriously to Kangqion, "Chona, the Heavenly Tao sect is not like the Great Tang country. There are strong people all over the place there. You must be careful and prudent, and put saving your life in everything as the most important thing. As for Grandpa, you don't have to worry about it. I'm very safe in the Jin Mansion. Grandfather, I know, you feel at ease cultivating in Qianfu. Within 100 years, I will definitely break through the Yuanying stage. Chona won't let you down," Kangqion said firmly. His eyes were a little red, but he held back the tears from falling. "Good, you have never let Grandpa down. 100 years of time Grandpa may not be able to break through the Yuanying stage, but reaching the peak of the 9th layer of the Jidan stage is still a sure thing. Hehe, maybe with a bit of luck. Grandpa will be the first one to break through the Yuanying stage before you," Wang Tixiong said with a smile. He was already at the 7th level of the Jidan stage, and in another 100 years, even if his qualifications were poor, with the resources supplied by the Qianfu, he would be able to raise his cultivation to the peak of the 9th level of the Jidan stage. It was just that the level of the Yuanying stage was very tough, and had been difficult for many cultivators since ancient times. "Grandpa, the Heavenly Tao sect has many precious elixirs. There might be an elixir to help you break through the Yuanying stage. I will bring it to you when the time comes, so don't worry about cultivating here." Kangqion revealed a hint of a smile as he smiled. Then he was still a bit uneasy, and took out the black puppet, removed the extremely high-grade spirit stone embedded in it, and then let Xiaojin erase the branding on top of the blood spirit crystal. "This is the puppet." Wang Tixiong looked at the black puppet in front of him and instantly thought of the strange encounter he had back then, when he and Kangqion were forced by Lin Beishan to the back of the royal mansion, in the middle of an underground cave. Wang Tixiong couldn't help but reveal a hint of a smile. In the blink of an eye it had been 3 years. Not only had he broken through to the 7th level of the Jidan stage, but Kangqion had also become one of the top figures of the young generation of the Great Tang country. Thinking about it now was unbelievable. "Grandpa, as long as this puppet is inlaid with 9 extremely high-grade spirit stones, it will exert the strength of the peak Yuanying stage. As long as this puppet is around, no one will be able to do anything to you unless an out-of-body stage powerhouse does it himself." Kangqion laughed. He couldn't completely trust the State Lord's guarantee, the Qianfu's guarantee. He really had to rely on himself. Only by placing this Yuanying stage puppet beside his grandpa did he be completely at ease. However, Wang Tixiong didn't accept it. He shook his head and said, "Grandpa, it's safe in Qianfu. It's better for you to keep this thing. Grandpa, I am safest in the Heavenly Tao sect. Who would dare to kill me in the Heavenly Tao sect? I don't need to use this puppet. It's more reassuring for me to stay by your side. Otherwise, I'll have trouble sleeping and eating even if I go to the Heavenly Tao sect," Kangqion persuaded. Wang Tixiong hesitated for a moment, but finally accepted this Yuanying stage puppet under Kangqion's persuasion, knowing that Kangqion would not feel at ease traveling to the Heavenly Tao sect if he did not accept it. However, Wang Tixiong only wanted 9 extreme spirit stones, and he didn't want a single one of the remaining 30 extreme spirit stones. Otherwise, after bitterly persuading him to no avail, he had no choice but to give up. These 9 extreme grade spirit stones could also be used for quite some time, enough to keep Grandpa alive. For the next 3 days, Kangqion stayed with Grandpa, and the two of them recalled the time when they were lifting the Iron City, and they were both overwhelmed with emotion. The Jin Mansion knew the situation, and no one came over to disturb the grandparents and grandchildren. And Jin San Xiao was also saying goodbye to a group of relatives in the Jin Mansion. By the 3rd day, Kangqion, Jin San Xiao, Wang Taizhong, and a group of Jin Mansion's senior management were all gathered in the Jin Mansion's hall, and all of their faces were covered with reluctance. Kangqion, The people's hearts are treacherous outside. This little fatty of my family will be left to you. I hope that you will be able to face any difficulties as brothers." The head of the Jin family was also a fat man and spoke with great humor. But the reluctance in his eyes could be seen by anyone as he asked Kang Chon to take care of Jin San Shao. "Father, in front of so many people, at least give me some face, okay?" Jin San Shao absolutely fell down at the sound of his words, looking at his father with a grudging face. "Ha ha!" The crowd laughed out loud, the laughter washing away the atmosphere of parting. Kang Chon laughed. "Uncle, don't worry. As long as the late generation lives, the third youngest will not have his life in danger." He knew that this was the head of the Jin family assuring him that as long as he took care of Jin San Shao in the Heavenly Tao sect, then their Jin family would also take care of his maternal grandfather at all costs.